ways of exchanging, we have our ways. And they did engage, with the early colonies and those types of things, but they saw who they were and what they were about, had a greater historical precedent in terms of their sustainability than these new ideas.
Okay, so what does that have to do with the president's trip to China?
So what I'm saying is that when we talk about the growth of capitalism and these other mechanisms around the world, we understand even though Iran can participate in capitalism, for example, right? Or other countries that have a dictatorship. If you haven't created a society that is focused and obsessed with perfecting the marketplace, that they want to create new businesses, they want to create new ideas, they want to find greater ways to provide more value at lower prices to compete with it. That's a worldview. That's an attitude. That's not just we have people who do technical skill sets. We train so many engineers. That's not what we're talking about. We're saying the fabric of the country is people who are thinking that. So even though these other countries, they could definitely participate in free market and they can invest a lot of money. They have a lot of tax, monies and reserves, these type of things. They're not going to ever compete with the United States unless they adopt.
But they have in China. And I don't know what that has to do with what the president. It's a great analysis. I'm not saying that there's a good analysis. But the president is going to China, is in China right now. He's meeting tonight our time, tomorrow their time, President Xi.
Under the
By the way,
poverty law center funded.
Just so that we are clear, China.
Well, I don't know what Chud the Builder is known for or what happened here. I'm going to click the link. We are now on CNN. Live streamer Chud the Builder, known for posting controversial videos with racial slurs, is in custody after shooting incident.
John, just think of Pepe on the streets doing what he does on Clubhouse.
Exactly.
And John, I see your future here. We need to transition you from Clubhouse to the streets.
Yeah.
And have you start doing this? You're built for this. I don't know about the racial slurs. We'll think of something new, but yeah.
Well, I would like to do a Clubhouse Live the experience and do a private screening of a Clubhouse on a Friday, Saturday night from say 5 to 10 people. Experience with drinks, and basically we just put Clubhouse up live on a big screen and I'll be the host and I just project Clubhouse into the auditorium for people to observe passively as I navigate these clownhouse streets.
You have access to an auditorium?
There's venues that I can rent that are nearby. But the thing is, how do I actually get people to show up?
That's actually kind of an interesting idea. So you stream us up on a big screen and people can come into the auditorium, right?
Exactly. They will watch me on stage interacting with a big screen of Clubhouse.
We should do it. Try to figure that out. I think
Yeah.
people would find it entertaining because people have to go, what kind of,
No, the whole thing is the videos that I'll create of the experience of people watching me interact with. So the whole thing is just as many videos in the auditorium as possible.
Is it like Science Theater 3000? Remember that?
Exactly. It'll be like that. We will have that angle, yeah. That's already what I'm technically doing. I got a compliment from a woman yesterday who says she went back through my Instagram accounts and watched videos from years ago of herself. And she was like, I loved your commentary. It was so funny. She's like, you are so funny. And I thank you for filming all of that. And I was like,
no, that's actually good. You should get, that stuff. They have the guy has another partner. Obviously, it's that little robot dude. But they're all human beings, of course. But maybe AI could actually be your partner, but you should do a review of Clubhouse rooms as they're going, so you can okay, here comes, Peter with his comedy. You know, like just do like total like. Because everybody knows the characters for the most part. Well, I mean, not everybody knows all the characters, but a lot of people would be interested in know.
See,
who the characters are.
A-Now lets you do that. Like right now, I'm in Baumgarten's Critical Thinking Forum, and I have the news by John Kitover open and politically correct. So I'm like doing Mystery Science Theater 3000. You know, I mostly just listen. I don't actually comment too much on what people are saying, but the liberal Democrat observational studies are always amazing.
Right. I don't know. I think there's a new angle to how all of this, like, it kind of is a new form of entertainment. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, let's be fair here. Like, there's a lot of people on this app who aren't serious people. I mean, let's just face it. It's just entertainment.
It is, but
at this point.
these rooms
And they're
become
all
bang
just
rooms. But
What's
you're
that?
just a white banger. You're a white gangbanger because if you go to any other black room, it's all crash out all the time. Cray 3000, that guy does it. And those rooms are like, in my opinion, you know, not mentally healthy. But, you know, if you can.
By the sound, I hear John Morley system, but I am very impartial, I promise. You are not. I am just listening to you. But John is more racist in some.
I don't know what you said. I hope you're at the
They just call
gym.
you racist.
I think that's what he said.
He just insists on that word strongly, and that makes a sensation. You know?
Still losing me here.
Take it easy.
But yeah, anyways.
Are you there?
John, you do need to work on some kind of. You need to totally reinvent media. I think you give a shot at it. I don't know what it looks like. I can see what you're doing.
No, it's the Kill Tony tour. They're already doing what we're talking about. Tony tour and Joe Rogan, and the Austin comedy mothership. They do these types of interactive shows, but nobody has like taken Clubhouse and made it into like a show. It's an experimental thing, and I'm willing to do it. Especially if I like tie into my Chicago mayoral campaign. I will try to secure a venue and set all this up. You know, it'd be nice to have like a projector, and I'm pretty sure I actually have all the stuff that I need to try. I could even a house. That would be one way to do it.
That'd be funny. Yeah, I mean, all you need is some place to shoot it up on, you know.
Well, I have this projector that you just put your phone into the projector, and then it literally projects your phone using mirrors and a light.
Yeah. You know, it'd be funny if like you could rent those things that project like on buildings, like even like I remember like the Twitter headquarters had that. They had people projecting things about during the campaign thing, but you know, obviously, or they were mad at him moving. I don't remember what it was. It was something to do with Elon or whatever. So if you were able to like project something on like the Empire State Building or some building, you did Klaus on in like some. I don't know if you could do audio on those building things. I didn't realize.
I could two big speakers, Bluetooth. I could have Bluetooth. The thing about doing it in an office is you just contain it all in one office, and you don't do anything in the streets. You don't wait. You like, because in a way, this is like the really efficient way of creating media and content.
But like, how do you get 100,000 people? That's the goal, right? I mean, that's kind of the goal. I mean, like, just like you get like just a shit ton of people watching your shit, and just actually, if we're enjoying it, we're all still here. There's got to be a whole segment of people out there just like that aren't tapped into this. You know what I mean?
Well, the way
He
to
has to start streaming. He has to like the Chad the Builder guy and all these guys are not. They're all on Twitch.
the way to spam this out is to recruit and hire influencers, which is pretty much local hot chicks that have 30,000 to hundreds of thousands of followers, and get them to actually project and spam and film and publish shit, which a lot of them probably won't do. But if they get paid to do it, guess what?
You can't.
They
Like,
do it.
You can't like on Twitch you can't use the N word, right? Like, so that's the thing. Like if you have Pepe on the stage, like you would just get banned eventually, right? Is that how that goes? I don't even know these days.
Maybe he could bleep it out. Have like a
No, you can't bleep the stuff out. It's too toxic and it's too annoying. And actually, when I hear Pepe talking now, if I'm in another room, I run back here to the main recording studio and I actually turn volume down because personally, I'm just sick of hearing him and I don't want to record him and keep pushing him. Activity recording.
They get you in trouble too. He's used like a lot. So it's like that gets like really
That's
nice.
true, yeah.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, to me, this is. I agree with Edward last night on that. I'm like, dude, you gotta like just chill out on the raping thing. It's a little weird, you know. But I can see how he could.
Just a little. I mean, he says he wants to kill hitchhikers and rape them in his van. Like he says all kinds of fucked up shit.
Well, he's type A, like, in the, like, Reddit, 4chan, dark web, Pandora's box, and so...
He says he came from the neo-Nazi streets of Discord. That's where he's from. The white trash Nazi ghetto of Discord. That's where he came from. That's where he was grown. That's where he grew up. That's his mythology and his backstory.
Yeah, they mix in with a lot of incels, and then that's what they fall into, like, rape becomes the thing that gets them off. You know what I mean? Like that.
It replaces all the other joys of vices. Yeah, I get it. Yeah. So I don't know what you do with that.
I'm sure it's just all for entertainment purposes.
It is all for entertainment purposes, but the sad thing is, you know, I think the way that everybody talks and sounds and acts is really who they are, or at least who they're projecting who they are. And if that's what you're projecting all the time, well, Jesus Christ, you are one unattractive, unappealing, obnoxious, horrible, to quote Aceh, horrible, terrible person. Hello?
Funny him because you could get him into a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
He hasn't done it.
It's like we need to attract it to him.
Yeah, BB likes it.
No, I don't like it. I just think I don't think that's who he is. I think he just he gets carried. He's either drunk or high when he's on Clubhouse.
Well, now you're actually right. He admitted.
Things for entertainment
You're right.
value.
He admitted last night he doesn't do this, and like he's a completely different person on the app than he is in real life.
Great
So there you go.
guy.
You got your answer.
Great,
You and John.
Information technology protection. Essentially, stop the Chinese from stealing our tech. I think all of those things would be a win. So I'll just leave it there.
Thank you, Marshall. We'll go now, followed by Marat.
Hey, thanks, Gary. There is not a lot of nations from this visit, as all the analysis I read. The U.S. actually needs China right now more than China needs the U.S., and that's not a good position to go into a summit or a meeting and expecting to win. So the best case scenario that Trump, can consider a win is to get, China to buy more of our agricultural products, soybeans and all that stuff. But it's not like they're gonna increase their buy-in from what they were before. Selling soy to China has been a very great business until Trump came and destroyed it, starting with his first presidency, and then with this presidency with the trade tariff wars and all that. Our export to China from soybeans, anyone that can look this up, has been on a steady decline to the benefit of other countries. Anything that we don't sell to China, they turned around and made other markets that benefited from the horrible relationship that we had with them in this particular field. Brazil now is the main supplier to China. So if we only get back at 60 or 70% of what we were selling them in the past, that would be considered a win, believe it or not. But that's something that we always talked about, Gary. You destroy something, and then, I mean, you put up a fire, and then when you show up and start, taking it down, you declare it a win, like you put up a fire. Forgetting that you're the one that started this whole damn thing. So, the delegation this time, the business delegation that there's a lot of talk about, is much smaller than the 2017 delegation that went to Beijing. Uh, there is this view of the whole world that Trump is stuck in what he's doing with Iran. We don't know how to solve that crisis. Every single thing that we were.
That's possibly the situation.
So I just want to say, BB's like, BB is like, I could get Pepe in trouble. Well, I'm not trying to get Pepe in trouble. And the fact is, if Pepe gets in trouble, it's not because John Kitover got Pepe in trouble. It's because Pepe got Pepe in trouble. Hello?
Yeah, but sometimes people come on this app and for whatever reason they have the right to like crash out from time to time, and it doesn't mean that we should somehow.
Like, where's Mr. Edward? Where is Mr. Edward when we need him? Because you know what he would say? Personal responsibility, guys. Personal responsibility, guys. You know what personal responsibility? That's right, personal responsibility, guys. The government isn't coming to save you. Personal responsibility, guys.
Yes.
I control my. That's it.
Perfect. Will you play?
Oh, what do you play?
There's two.
Established.
Only play this.
Had this great like this is the world. When you do this, you're going to be able to the middle. And yes, we can take another look. We're told that the Navy, the U.S. Navy, are going to finally open the strait. That whole idea lasted for, I think, 24, 30 hours, and now we're back to ships moving.
Beautiful child, stand us on the dragons of the deep. I invoke. And I never follow.
You just stand here while she works. I'm 28 years old. Isn't it a number like 12? I was Ebonics. So you know who I am. Yeah, back the fuck out my face. That's what I thought. Posture up. I really hope you want to. You want to step outside? Come on, nigger. Let's go.
Oh my God.
Come on, nigger.
Yikes.
And all that shit. So we quickly scrambled and went back. I was like, oh, okay, we'll do a truce. And it's been like, they agreed on a 12-month truce, which, with this visit is an expectation that the truce will be extended. So this is, again, what I said before, it's getting back to how things were before. And then when they say we're going to extend a truce and the tariffs are going to be lower and China's going to keep selling us their rare earth minerals, this is how things were before. We destroyed it, we're going to fix a little bit out of it, and we're going to declare victory that we did it. So again, there's not a lot of expectations. This is how I see it. This is how a lot of geopolitical analysts see it. I listened to a lot of news today from Europe, and people are actually laughing. Literally, news people are laughing at us. I mean, this is everybody saying this is not the United States that we are used to, that is expected to be the strong power. We're being seen now that the U.S. president is going to basically beg for a win that, like I said, is please let us get back to where we were before.
I'm trying to recall, but wasn't Obama disrespected by the Chinese when he went there? And wasn't there a lot of commentary about how weak he made the United States look? I'm going to have to.
Yes, there was. There were several articles written about how the United States was a paper tiger.
Right, because he got played. They didn't. He had to walk. They didn't. They did not bring even the stairs for him to go out the front of the Air Force One. He had to walk out the back.
That's true. That is true. I remember that.
Yeah.
But that tells you, Gary, that when you have the second. I mean, someone talked earlier about how China can afford to do a war. It's the largest army in the world with 2+ million service men. You can't ignore a power like that and say bombastic stuff that we gotta destroy China. China's gonna come back. No, China did not come begging when you added tariffs. They simply said fuck your sorry for the whatever buying soybeans from U.S. farmers. U.S. farmers declared bankruptcies or whatever. The United States ended up paying $29 billion to support the farmers. China won because they got product elsewhere. We ended up, we ended up paying the price for that. And you just, that's not very. There is no diplomacy doing radical stuff like that. So yeah, China is we love the United States. China is a formidable, adversary. Minimizing their power and hegemony on the world or whatever is only make us look, like.
But in Southeast Asia, they're trying to expand their influence.
Expand it back into traditional China is like, I think, phenomenon in Korea.
Oh, absolutely. All the way to Central America, Gary, and all that. I mean, all the opens in the war. I mean, that's been. Marshall talked about it and how they do in Africa and all that, and how they, control the seaports, the infrastructure, how they, and they go build those hospitals and bridges, Marshall, and they don't even employ the local population. They bring Chinese people to work there because they want to employ their people. So, I mean, sometimes you gotta look at your adversary and not be foolish in thinking that you're just that you just had them before you actually do.
Thank you for that, Monsef. By the way, I mentioned very briefly earlier that there were the leaders of our high-tech industry participating in this summit, and William was kind enough to list the names of all of them, and they are all posted there on the main chat if anybody's interested in seeing who is there with the president. I think William. That, Moran, followed by Daryl.
Hi, Gary. Hello, everyone. I understand the passion that Cartman displayed, and it is true that any form of anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism is abhorrent, but it has nothing to do with our China policy. And our China policy, if anybody has read anything from any reputable think tank, is the main challenge main strategic challenge to the future. If anybody reads even the Chinese writing, they know that's what they're planning. Their plan is to challenge us in the coming decades. So what we should be paying attention to is what CCP is trying to do, what sort of strategic challenge they have, and the main important thing, if anyone PTRs, I have replaced a map of Southeast Asia instead of my photo, and we see the first island chain, which starts from Malaysia, Philippines, goes through Taiwan and Japan, and the second island chain, which is further away. This is a plan to control and maintain Chinese expansionism, CCP's expansionism. If you read the military plannings that the Chinese have, their own writing, all their military is planning to break through this chain. And right in the middle of it is Taiwan. If you see right there is Taiwan. By taking over Taiwan, you're basically breaking the first island chain, protecting us from Chinese expansionism. This is what it's all about. I mean, if you look at what they're planning to do, that's the main important thing we should be thinking about. So this is something for the next decades, and it has nothing to do with any other policy that we may have. Now, going back to the question of the room, what is a win? Well, as Marshall said it, I agree, and I think Gary, you mentioned it too. The most important thing is to manage the trade tensions we have with China. That's the most important thing, without giving anything about Taiwan. And if we get a plus, if we can have the Chinese to help us managing Iran, that would also be a plus. Again, all of this has to be done without paying anything about Taiwan. And everyone is kind of scared because we all know the president is the man who can go off script. And we're all worried that, the Chinese weren't paid attention when he arrived. The Chinese put on a big show, sent their vice president, and as you guys said, Obama didn't receive this treatment because they know how to treat this president to get something out of it. So what I'm hoping, and everybody's hoping, that the president can not go off script, pay attention to our strategic plans, and not give up anything on Taiwan. But if in the meantime he can manage to ease the tensions, trade tensions, and get some help on Iran, that would be a win. And that's all I have to say, Gary, and thank you for your good rooms.
Thank you. Of course, the problem he has with that is that he said he's hoping to get some help from China with regard to Iran, and then he backtracked and said, no, we don't want their help. We've got it well in hand in Iran. And so, is it a win if he gets that help, or is it a loss? Because he said, we didn't need it. I guess no matter what, it has shown a remarkable, well, yes, it would be viewed by him as a win. I don't know whether we would view it as a win. I think so. I think if we can bring an end to the war in a manner that resolves the nuclear weapons issue, really resolves the nuclear weapons issue, I don't really care who gets the credit for it. And I guess maybe that makes me un-American based on what a previous caller suggested. And I don't know how he makes that comparison with those who have spoken here, that makes him un-American and hates America and wants America to lose. Because to make the nuclears, like to see the goal be the removal of the regime suggested by this president. Thank you, Varan. We'll go to Daryl, followed by Armaze.
Hey, Gary. Just a couple of, you can give me some latitude, a couple of things. There was a caller, Black, who made some statements that are just factually not true. And, so Russia is China's largest single supplier of oil, not Iran. So, that's just factually not true. And America's economic power really, really hinges on the strength of the dollar globally. And I've said this in this room before, I've said this a million times before that. All China really needs to do right now, then I'll get to whether or not, because Pete didn't even show up to meet him, so I don't know how to interpret that just yet. All China really needs to do is kind of just hang back. There's this quote from Sun Tzu, The Art of War, never interrupt your adversary when he is in the middle of making a mistake, right? I think what the previous speaker just said about Taiwan is actually very important, because if you look at what we've been doing, over the past 13 months, right? We're looking to control energy, oil, natural gas in the Western Hemisphere. We're talking about invading Cuba. What some don't know is that Cuba actually does have oil and natural gas. I think Cuba produces a significant amount of oil per day. It's not great oil, but it is still oil. And if you were to look at this from a perspective of like global geopolitics, right, and just hemisphere control, if the idea is that OPEC nations, because I don't know if you saw yesterday, but Trump basically said screw OPEC, right? So, which I don't think was bright. I think he has no filter. I think no one can actually control what he says, and the ramifications of it be damned. I would hazard to guess that in some way we are preparing for the end of the petrodollar. And I think what we're looking to do is, okay, well, if the petrodollar ends and we can't force the sale of oil dollars, then we need to be controlling the oil. We need to control oil in the Western Hemisphere. Not only oil, but we need to control natural gas in the Western Hemisphere. Because the previous caller who mentioned something about like China and whatever, I guess they're not familiar with BRICS, right? Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and now tangentially Iran. There is already a consortium being formed that is looking at the next 30 years of global energy supply, and that does not include the sale of oil in US dollars. I mentioned in your room the other day that the UAE, before they bailed from OPEC on the last day of the month last month, they had already reached out to us and said, look, if we can't fix this Hormuz thing, we're going for our own survival. We're going to have to start selling oil in yuan. So that means that playing card is now on the table, and that playing card is also now on the table for the other OPEC countries. So all China really needs to do is kick back and watch how this progresses. It's very important. I think more and more people are going to start to realize this as our economy really tanks. And again, I think China doesn't have to do anything but hang back because they are the world's manufacturer. And I think Trump taking these tech execs to China was probably the best thing he could have done, because like a previous caller said, he can't get in the room and talk this stuff with these guys. He needs Tim Cook and Musk and all these other guys, because the future is going to be about rare earth minerals. And that means the future economy is going to be based on rare earth minerals. And China controls a significant amount of rare earth minerals. And if they were to go into Taiwan, then it's going to become this, okay, you the oil, we have the rare earth. I don't see any scenario where there's actually a conflict, like a kinetic conflict with China, because it's just not necessary. To the question of what is a win? I don't know what a win could look like. I think, Pei not showing up to meet him today, I don't know how to interpret that. I think this wasn't like a G20 meeting or anything like that, but him talking for the past couple of days about how he was going to see his buddy, how he's going to see his friend, and he's a strong dictator and he rules like 1 billion people with an iron hand. Those are his words. I'm parsing, but those are actually Trump's words. And he shows up and Pei doesn't meet him. I don't think he likes things like that because I believe he likes to be seen as the biggest guy in the room. But hopefully the smarter guys that he took with him are focused on the future of business with China.
So the New York Post, which is not adversarial toward the president, their headline is, China made a revealing choice in its airport greeter for Trump in Beijing. President Trump arrived in Beijing without a tarmac greeting from President Xi, but the apparent snub was actually an upgrade from his last welcome in 2017, according to an expert. That's the way they're spinning it. It's actually quite revealing from a protocol perspective, said Isabel Vladoy, founder of the U.S. Institute of Diplomacy and Human Rights. Xi Jinping did not personally greet Trump at the airport in 2017 either, but this time Beijing noticeably upgraded the reception by sending Vice President Han Zhen along with both ambassadors and senior foreign affairs officials. He does appear with a grin on his face, but I think you're right. This is really not what he probably anticipated or wished for. There is a red carpet. So it's a massive upgrade from the way Obama was treated.
And it's a way of taking a dig at someone who you know has a massive ego, who who probably wanted the press and the photos of him being met at the airport by another head of state. I'm a head of state, he's a head of state. He's a dictator. I'm a wannabe dictator. This is how I want to be dictator. I'm being facetious, Gary, so don't hold me to that. I'm simply saying these are the little things that get under his craw, and I think China knows that.
Thank you, Daryl. We'll go to our maze, followed by Andrew.
Good afternoon, everyone. Gary. This is, I gotta laugh. When I look at that, for Trump, what constitutes a win? I think he's going to do what he did in the Middle East. He's going to try to figure out how he's going to make money. It's got nothing to do with the U.S. He's looking out for himself. And China knows that. China knows that all they have to do is stroke his ego, and they're going to have Trump in his pocket. For the mic, Gary.
So that's an excellent perspective with regard to, or analysis with regard to the Chinese perspective. But what about from the U.S. perspective? What can the president come back with that he can declare one?
Well, I think that if he had some kind of agreement with China that they were going to help manage Iran or something along those lines, I think that would be a win for the country.
Okay, thank you, Armaze. We'll go to Andrew, followed by Jerry.
Good afternoon, Gary. Can you hear me okay?
Yes. Sorry about that. I was managing the room and couldn't grab the microphone.
Yeah, I'm not sure what would constitute a win. I don't think it really matters to Donald Trump. He'll sell it as a win, whatever it is. I think, with the tech bros going over, that could possibly be a good thing in terms of investment flowing that way to some degree. But I just want to point out that when Donald Trump went there in 2020, I think it was January that year, he came away with 3 or 4 MOUs, memorandums of understanding. One of them was for $200 billion. One was $78 billion for West Virginia, I believe. which is more than their GDP that year, and that was for power and gas and some other issues in West Virginia. But really, what the proof is always in the pudding, and unfortunately, those memorandums of understanding, the real investment has fallen much, much shorter than what was to be understood. So if he comes away with those again, he may waive them, much like Chamberlain waived his little paper in coming away from Berlin. But if they don't follow through, then you're stuck with nothing, really. And China's not a reliable trading partner. We've noticed that here in Canada over the years. They retaliated against us by kidnapping two gentlemen, two Michaels, as they're famously called here in Canada, and held them for over 2 years in prison in retaliation for us holding the telephone executive lady, I can't remember her name, in Vancouver at the behest of Donald Trump and the administration for violations of whatever trade rules that she was accused of violating. And then, of course, they tagged on canola as a bargaining chip as well. So they're really a tough nut, China is. And I'm not sure what you can expect in real tangible results. That will bear out, I suppose. But I do believe that whatever he comes back with, he will pronounce a win on that. Thank you, Gary.
Thank you. I think it was Carol that was talking about how the president may view with admiration the way Xi runs his country. Just want to give you a little insight. A friend of mine who sadly died because he was waiting for a kidney transplant and it never came. He was a longtime correspondent, U.S. correspondent, foreign correspondent in China. And at the bureau where he worked, he had assistants, Chinese national assistants. Well, the assistants came from a pool provided by the Chinese government. So he had no choice but to hire minders. And that's what they were. It wasn't that they didn't do their jobs and didn't try to arrange interviews and act as fixers, as the saying goes in my business, where a local will go and talk to folks and try to clear the way to get you in for the interviews. Those are called fixers. They did their jobs, but their other job was to report back everything that was discussed in the bureau, all of his movements. If he wanted to travel outside a certain radius from where he was located, he was forced to get a permit from the government, and the government would, they accommodated him by providing him a guide. Well, obviously that guide determines who he can see, what he can talk about. The people who are talking to him mind what they say very carefully, because this so-called guide is there in the room constantly. That's the way a totalitarian government, which apparently is something that this president admires. That's how they run their governments. Amir, followed by William. Amir, yeah, you're up.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Gary, for the opportunity. Probably I'm just going to echo some of the sentiments that's been expressed already. What constitutes a win for Trump? I think if Trump could convince President Xi to pull the plug on the regime in Iran, that would be a massive win for him. But the question is, what kind of sweetener would have to be dished out to President Xi to convince him of that. Now, the fact that a whole host of tech giants are accompanying Trump, it could be that the sweetener is actually to roll back on some of the tariff wars that's been going on. I don't know the exact details of that because I don't live in the US, but perhaps to shift some of the even manufacturing that was pulled back, maybe not, technologically sensitive stuff, but more of a less techy manufacturing to help with China's unemployment. I'm just thinking aloud here, really. But the jewel in the crown for Trump, I think, is to sort out the situation in Iran. He would be able to, he would probably stretch as much as he could to achieve that and to get Xi on his side on that. Can I just say one thing? I think someone mentioned about the relationship between China and Iran. I think a lot of people have got that wrong. From what I understand, it's a pretty one-sided relationship, and it's all in favor of China. I know for decades they were milking the cheap oil, obviously because of sanctions, and of course in place of that, they would just ship over, shall we say, second-rate goods, and some military stuff, of course. So my point is, there is no real strategic relationship between Iran and China would be willing to, given the right price, to drop Iran. That's what I would imagine.
So I would imagine the right price would be another source of oil, and theoretically, Amir, that could be from Venezuela, and theoretically,
we've seen these pranks
the
where
titular
motherfucker
president
walk up to a man and a wife in a grocery store and grab the wife by the hands and try to mac on her in front of her husband just to see what her husband does, right? Those type of pranks. Though I don't appreciate that type of shit because I say, hey, if they get whooped, hey, that's what the fuck they deserve. And I've been saying this shit for a few years. One of these days, these pranksters are going to get shot. Somebody's going to get fucked up.
Adrian, you sound a lot like my black friend who said I was going to get punched in the face. And I was like, I'm ready to go to heaven. And my friend was like, man, somebody going to punch you in the face.
Yeah, so, when I see pranksters out in public doing these skits or these acts and shit, provoking people for no fucking reason.
Venezuela or other places. And in place of it, play ball with Trump's wants to do in Iran.
Thank you for that, Amir. We'll go to William, followed by David.
style of change that's going to long-term strategic structure of American national defense security, which includes Okinawa, Taiwan, South Korea, going down into the Philippines and Malaysia. China has an adversarial relationship with the U.S. in the South China Sea. The 9-dash line where they were building, trying to basically fraudulently expand their exclusive economic zone to encroach upon Vietnam, the Philippines, Malaysia, other countries in the 9-dash line. I don't have a graph of it open right now, but the 9-dash line is a pretty critical area where countries with whom the United States has alliances has an adversarial relationship with China, and so we have some incentive to try to maintain some alliances. The economic the oil imports from China, I pulled up a chart of it are pretty well diversified between Russia, Saudi Arabia, Malaysia, Iraq, Brazil, UAE, Oman, Kuwait, Canada, but a lot of it's not just Iran, but a lot of the oil that they import does come through primarily the Straits of Hormuz. So China, from a strictly business perspective, China is not like adversarial in the way, nobody in China is chanting death to America, death to Israel. That's not their thing. They're more about business. And whether you want to get into capitalist or not capitalist, they have a mixed economy to a degree, but they have actual real needs. They have to import their oil. They don't really make their own oil. They have to import their fertilizers. They need that to feed their own people. They actually have a water problem, especially in northern provinces of China, where they're really parched. So they actually need better access to water. And some people have argued that they are, along with sort of the
it's a weird
Sun
kind
Tzu,
of situation. I
philosophy.
hear what you're saying. I'm not endorsing what he does. I think it's an idiot.
Yeah, you see them walking away, but still antagonizing people.
Hello?
But I'm like, I think, okay, on the scale of all the people that are out there, I think he's, in my opinion, and I'm not going to say for it, he's still fairly harmless. But
well, he's threatened to shoot people before.
Well, I mean, I guess that's true too. But obviously, if someone threatens to shoot him, it goes both ways. I don't know. Like, this part is all this stuff is really interesting.
It's entertainment, but the truth is, if you want to do so.
I'm not going to ask you again. I'm not going to ask you again. I'm asking you to remove Liberty's profile from your picture from your profile. Would you please do that?
All right, for you, Bima, I will.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, good. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just don't know who was Adrian just talking about.
I was talking about that Chud the Builder guy that goes around calling black people the N-word and stuff.
I have no idea who this person is.
Well,
You're in for a treat.
Bima, this is John. I just removed Liberty's photo from my. Could you put me in the queue, Bima? Thank you, Bima.
Okay, John, thank you. Please don't do that in the middle of me speaking. I don't know what the fuck you guys are talking about with the shooting. I don't know, man. I've been at work all day. Can you just catch me up to speed?
Yeah, we got. Go ahead. Whoever wants to.
Oh no, I was going to explain to her, but if you got it, you can go right ahead and
Yeah, Bima, if you could acknowledge my existence and.
I've been at work all day. Can you?
What are you doing?
I'm asking to be put in the queue. That's what I'm asking for, moderators.
John, doing a recap, trying to help people out that are new here. Come on, man. Well, I'm not going to do it. Bima, go ahead and just do it. You actually know more details than I do. I just got home and was catching up myself. But go ahead, Bima.
Yeah, thanks. I'm new to this, so anything that I say, it's potential for error, so we can all correct each other and learn from each other as we go. What I understand, there's a guy named Chud the Builder.
Coming to an agreement with China on all these other important issues, we also changed the tariff policy, which has changed hundreds of times. It keeps going back and forth and back and forth. But if he can back out gracefully from the tariff policy and pull that away, that would be a win. If he can get an agreement, and I don't know if this can even be made public, but if he could get their help, an agreement to pressure Iran to open the Straits of Hormuz, China does have a relationship with them in a way that we don't, and it would also benefit our other allies in the Persian Gulf, because I think Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Qatar, UAE, they're all getting a little pissed off that their access to get their oil out of the Straits of Hormuz has been disrupted, and it's damaging the world economy. So I don't know if it can be made public. It's just some things have to be actually handled quietly and diplomatically. That's something that Trump might achieve that would, in reality, be a win for the United States and a win for the world, because it would get us out of a base losing situation. Because I don't think I hope I'm wrong. You know, I hope I'm wrong. I wish we could have regime change for the Iranian people, but I don't see it happening. And I think we're kind of in a quagmire right now, and we'd be better off to be out from an American point of view. But that's a possibility, because a lot of Trump's voter base, a lot of the Trump MAGA base, is really pissed off about the going back on the no new wars, and this is what looks like it's a very expensive potential quagmire. So that could be a win for Trump in reality. How he would announce that, what he's going to announce, I have no idea. Whatever it is, whatever he comes up with, he'll announce it as a win. Another win that might come out of it is with lessening tariffs and reopening free trade. He's got all those really competent tech guys with him and other captains of industry, somebody from Visa, somebody from various banks. That's something that can open opportunities in a way that Trump can publicly declare as a win that would benefit our economy. So, that remains to be seen, but that's my guess about, what he can publicly say as a win, and what is privately maybe going to happen that we're not going to know about right away, or maybe will. Who knows? Because Trump is pretty impulsive. So he might have a secret deal that he negotiates and then put it on the Truth Social or Twitter or whatever. So those are my thoughts.
I did want to make, not for you, William, but just like a simple correction. I was talking with my friends who used to live in China and then came to the United States for college schooling. Apparently, the Chinese diplomatic protocol is usually for the foreign minister to meet the head of state, not for the vice president to.
I read something about that also, and I think this is keeping with protocol. That you don't expect to have your head of government, your head of state, going down to the airport like an errand boy to do that kind of meeting. And this is just consistent with prior protocol.
Well, so the other point this person made was it sending the vice president of the country.
And if you decide to, reach out your arm.
Hey, Coco, I hate to interrupt, but moderators, if you could put me in the queue, thank you.
You're in the queue, John, right after Coco.
Jesus, why do you keep doing
I
this?
thought I was next.
Oh, sorry, John was waiting. Go ahead, Coco.
It's just really annoying, John. Honestly, bro, you sit at
If
home all
China
day.
owns
You just
a
got on the app.
billion
Can you
of
chill?
No,
So,
just
yeah,
like
we
if
should
I'm
say, like,
actively engaged in activities with you, just
yeah,
tell me what's up.
even
Like,
if I
don't
went in and
conceal
I
things from
said
me.
just a bunch
Because
of
that's when
egregious,
problems start
nasty
occurring, and I'm not there to be
in
manipulated.
public,
Concealing is
in my
at
state,
what point do they need to
stuff
tell you
on
this
your
just
mother
out of nowhere?
others, your
Or is this
mother,
like
your bitch,
I
your
guess
son,
what I'm
blah,
saying
blah,
is
blah,
I'm choosing
your
to be more of a
white
hermit
bitch,
than
all
to
this
like
kind of
beat
stuff,
more
right?
people at 43. Like I am more
The judge would
discriminating
look
in discerning,
at
not
you
discriminating in
and
terms
reach
of
your hand out
race
and
or
decided
sexual
to,
identity or
punch me
political
in the
identity.
mouth for that.
You know,
And
if I
you would be
act
charged
a
as the
liberal,
aggressor
hey,
because you
you know,
decided
take you
with
to
the
dinner
physical violence.
and give you a
And
gift.
for
And with the number of responses,
random
what is
guy,
gift? Like, I ask you,
yeah,
what do you
maybe
want?
said some like,
One response.
well, you
want to.
other came up some. I'm not condoning.
Just want to be transparent, but
the racial
again,
slurs
if you
here,
have a
but,
friend
At what point does he need to mention that he's gay if he happens to be gay? At what point do you just say it out?
I would never expect
Was he being
or question
he was being
that. It's just
these are
I'm
like
just
there's a
saying that,
difference
like,
between
you
morale
know, I
and legality.
appreciate
These
transparency.
are
I
two
never
different-
actually ask
and
any
also,
details about
another
somebody's
thing,
personal life.
this
Like
is
I
the
just don't
question
care
you guys-
because
you guys
I'm a person
about,
for specific purposes, which is
I believe in
women
most states
to have
it's
fun,
illegal to record
you know, to
someone
be
without
artistic,
their consent.
but not gay.
So
And,
that
you
might
know,
change things around as whoever's representing
this,
these
you
people.
know, woman at the bar the other
decides to,
day
you know,
who has a husband,
pressure that.
she was
That's all I got.
excusing me the being. I was like, well, if I was gay, you know, I'd be upset about what you're saying right now, but since I'm not being confident and happy, like, ha, can you touch your toes? Can you take a deep breath? And also, when you look at it looks bad. I mean, I can right now, but yeah, we can't tell the difference whose armpit that is. Maybe you could tell by my muscle. Nah, she told me to adjust her, so I'm pretty sure that pity pants. You know, does any I gotta watch the video. Yeah. I see it just for so long. It is so. It's like. It's like.
Happens during that altercation, he pulls his weapon and shoots someone. Not only shoots someone,
Just I'm actively engaged in activities with you. Just tell me what's up. Like, don't conceal things. If I'm actively engaged,
that means he had his gun on him when he walked out of the courthouse or was in the courthouse.
Exceeding.
How the fuck did he have a gun in the courthouse?
You're feeling
Did they allow him to have a gun in the courthouse?
I just don't know what
he's so
infrared is versus any other song about
No, it's the cheaper version. It's the cheaper version of a song because when you heat a song, it takes tremendous amounts of gas or electricity, but the infrared is so heat. My opinion,
Thank you. What you're saying is
I can explain that. So in Texas, specifically, I don't know about where he lives. I think he's in Tennessee. Texas, because they have like storage lock boxes. So if you come in with a firearm, you can actually lock it in the lockbox before you go through a security checkpoint. And then they give you a key that they can open up, the master key. They can open it. But they give you a key and then you hold on to that key and then you can reholster their firearm.
As far as free speech goes, the Supreme Court is clear about this.
No, just if I'm actively engaged in activities with you, if I'm actively
depending on
time is when it's a place is a location that it's available and accessible to the general public. And manner is a manner that is not disruptive.
Yeah. So that's the issue. So if as far as him in general, if he's being disruptive in some way, you know, and the video of the guy that Eva played, you know, he could say, I'm just going to 7-Eleven trying to get a drink, and this guy's harassing me. Then it's not the head of state, not the vice president. And that's one of the three things. So the head of state, not the vice president. John wanted to go. The head of state, not.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that, this guy who uses the N-word in this very vulgar way, who happens to be in this horrific, incident. People are, see, Clubhouse is a very small community compared to like the YouTube community and these guys that technically like have their own platforms and followings. And it's unfortunate that, American men or Canadian men or Australian men or European men happen to find this type of content entertaining. And I follow so many Instagram accounts and I see such horrific violence on Instagram on what I would call like shadow accounts that like, I don't know how else you see these videos, but a lot of it is just criminal activity. And it's shocking the violence that is on Meta, on Instagram. But it is basically social and societal violence. And it's horrific, beyond horrific. But I would also just point out, as somebody here who engages in political communication, that your security and your well-being is important this summer. And just the other night, I had two people on my property who were probably homeless and intoxicated and up to no good. And they were trying to steal shit, and they were doing all kinds of shit. They were going through alleys and picking through cars and trying to go into this building over there. I mean, they were having a good old time in my neighborhood, and I was observing them, and I called the police. And the police showed up late by the time, they had made their getaway. And I'm just telling you that you can become a victim this summer. And Clubhouse, this little security briefing, which is something you usually do before an event. Hey, this situation is, but the real situational awareness is not just your security, like if you're on a train or a bus or somewhere. What I'm trying to tell you is Clubhouse physical, cognitive security is what Elon Musk calls it. And in my opinion, listening to racist, vulgar, profane hate speech for days, weeks, and months on end, to me is a waste of my life, my existence. And I'm warning you all as users of this app, and this app will probably shut down eventually because you see no advertisements, right? You see no like subscription. Let's look at the pluses in here. Let me look at the pluses. I don't see any pluses. Wait, Abima and I are the only people paying for this. So 2 out of 15 people actually pay for this content. That's not good odds for an app.
There we go. So in
those districts ad nauseum.
Ad nauseum, absolutely. Particularly if they're being ran in the face of even higher gas prices than we're facing now. So, yeah, the Republicans are going to have to somehow find a way around that. But Gary, the win here also I think is involving, can China bring Iran to heel on some level with our military and our economic might? Can China carve out enough of a win with us to do Trump's bidding backdoor wise and try to help everybody save face here? Because buying that much oil, that deal that they cut with Iran would absolutely go up in flames and be one less oil source for them. We saw how it was in Venezuela. So, I know China's got a stockpile of about 4 months of reserves that they're sitting on. That gets burned up really quick. They've got a massive economy like theirs to churn. So, I think
initial proceedings are in progress.
We'll wait.
This applies regardless of whether you have a handgun carry permit or carrying under Tennessee's permitless carry law, which allows eligible adults 21 and older to carry handguns openly or concealed in most other places. So whether they have lock boxes or not for you to put your firearm in, you can't bring that motherfucker in there regardless. Period. Full stop.
Yeah.
Under Tennessee law.
Yeah.
So back to the op. How the fuck did he walk out of a courtroom or enter a courtroom and get into an altercation with someone outside the courtroom and produce a firearm? Where was that firearm the whole entire time he was in that courtroom, in the courthouse?
Good question.
So, because he didn't go to a vehicle and retrieve it. He got into an altercation after he came out of courthouse.
Well, that,
so that means, logically, that means he had that firearm on him when he wasn't supposed to have it on him.
Yeah, but what you're missing, Adrian, is that when you get to the security checkpoint, if you say, I promise on a holy spec not to do anything bad with this gun, then they let you in with it. That's all.
And I wonder, so if he was at the courthouse, that was probably for his resisting arrest charge that happened a couple of days ago. And also fleeing ill on a so this guy's having a shitty week.
Right. For whatever official court proceeding.
3 charges, yeah, 3 charges.
Yeah. So where the fuck did he produce this firearm from?
that's interesting because it makes it more sketchy. We can't verify whether he had it on him or not. Either did it on when he went to the courtroom, or 2, worst case scenario. This is the worst case scenario. He went to the courtroom. He went to his vehicle. He retrieved it. Yeah. Then went and
antagonized people.
That would be.
Walk into his car. Like he's all like once he gets to it with someone, he goes to the car. I guess this may have been. Can't wait till he's getting
antagonistic action. He did on purpose because he understood.
It's legal. Something like when you back in the 70s, there was a bunch of neo-Nazis, like Nick Fuentes, Tyson, fucking shot to build one in Indiana to Holocaust survivor community. But it carries signs like, you know, you replace us and all that. In the city there in Indiana said, no, how to do that. So he said that it was anti-Semitic, and that to do it, the neo-Nazis were doing this. And the ACLU, commonly Jewish and founders, actually defended the Nazis and said, hey, the Nazis are allowed to fucking march through here. It is fucking hateful rhetoric, and we disagree with it, but they're allowed to do that. As long as you're not doing a call to action, if I say, I'm gonna get my fucking gun, shoot you in the fucking face, and I'm not in fear of my life, that's. But if I face, wait. If I say nigger to you on the fucking train and you attack me and I feel that my life is in threat and danger, I have the right under ground to make myself.
Because my whole point was, no, listen to what I'm saying. I think we're talking past each other, respectfully. My whole point was, where the fuck did he get that gun from?
Adrian, either got it from his gun or they had a spare lockbox on it.
Adrian, I just put it in the chat. Under, you can see it there. Under Tennessee law, the sheriffs provide lockboxes for you to do it. So it wasn't like.
Yeah, you come in, you say to the security guard, you say, hey, I have a firearm on my 3 o'clock position, it's in a holster, do you have a lockbox? They say, yeah, we have these boxes over here. We'll give you take the key out after you secure it and lock it. Then you take the key with you inside to the courthouse and stuff. And then when you come back out, you stick the key in and you turn it, you take your pistol, put it back on, and you walk out. It allows for people to still have their Second Amendment right, but they're not allowed to have it past security check.
Yeah, I don't think he would have gotten past security.
No, not at all. I mean, unless it was like a polymer ghost gun or something, it was all polymer or something.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, Adrian. It sounds fishy to begin with, but yeah, I mean, there would have to be New York or California. There would have to be a huge breakdown in security for him to get into the court with the gun.
Yeah, he did. Well, I mean, he didn't enter past the security checkpoint.
Also, why are we saying that his, like, because he has a partner with him all the time for his streams, Why wouldn't the partners give him the gun?
Yeah, his partner had the gun and holstered it in his secondary holster.
Wait for him to come outside, give him the gun back to his holster, and off he goes.
I think the main point about all this is because you guys put in the questionnaire, basis provocateur claim self-defense if a person decides to attack them. Yes. I mean, if you're standing out screaming, Edomite, fucking demon dogs, Black Hebrew Israelism shit, and I come over and start fucking wailing on you, and the Black Hebrew Israelite thinks that I'm trying to fucking kill him and he's fearful of his life, he has the right, even after saying that I'm a fucking demon and a dog, to still fucking drop around at me in certain states. Like Tennessee, Texas, you got standing ground walls. If you're in fear for your life, you can use deadly and violent, defense.
Yeah.
I mean, it's shitty. The guy's immoral. He's a piece of shit. Yeah, the guy's a piece of shit.
I don't think it's shitty. I don't.
No, I defend like the ACLU. I defend his right to do and say whatever he wants. I would never in a million years want the ACL. I would never in a million years want the government to stop Black Hebrew Israelites or Black Panthers or neo-Nazis or even fucking Jewish supremacists to respect their lives.
But you can't just start like running people, punching them in the street and expect nothing back. I mean, what are you doing?
Especially if the person fears life. I mean, if a person comes and slaps you on the face and then runs away and you shoot them, that's one thing. But if they're just fucking teeing off on you and ground pound on you, I mean, this is why we have the George Zimmerman
my thing is, if you're gonna use the fear for your life defense, why are you provoking the
all you have to do is prove it, Nye.
Why are you bothered? But he doesn't do it. We can prove motive by
do you want to restrict the Black Panthers?
We're not talking about the Black Panthers.
No,
the Black Panthers can walk around calling white men.
We're talking about the same thing, though.
Provoking white men into beating their ass. Completely different, right?
Yeah, but not.
Black Panthers can go around.
They went in courthouse. They went into the state. Oh, actually, no. Actually, the Black Panthers entered.
Each other, Reg. We can't talk over each other.
Okay. The Black Panthers entered into the state capitol building in California with black fire rifles. They walked in. They had Class 3 firearms.
You know why they did that?
They protest.
Let's not.
I agree. It's protest.
Resources, oil, and commercial routes to and from China. All right, in our hands. Not to mention the Panama Canal. So we have already taken it back completely. So this is a huge win, and so China is in our hands. And also there were people talking about the currency, BRICS currency. This is nonsense. The Chinese currencies. They did not allow their own currency to trade freely in the international market. So there's no worry about for them hard currency on the international market. And also, well, the trading volume is very, and also China itself has increased purchase of U.S. assets overseas, not decreasing the currency reserve on purchasing overseas assets. And as for Taiwan, people talking about Taiwan, just recently, Taiwan legislature approved, despite the obstruction of CCP in Taiwan, approved the $25 billion weapons purchase from the U.S. And I think 2 days ago, it's a snub at China. Just 2 days before Trump's trip to China. So we have a strong hand, and President Trump's trip to China is a victory lap. I'm done speaking.
So Hanson brings up a very important point that heretofore on this stage has not been discussed, and I have to acknowledge with my overabundance of listening to the pundits talk about this trip is also, I haven't heard it, maybe some people have heard someone suggest this, but it is absolutely true that 90% of Iran's oil goes to China. 90%. So, in reality, what's going on with Iran, I know it's a global market. I know it's sold as a commodity, but the reality is that China is a whole world of over what's going on right now.
Exactly.
So they have an extreme vested interest in, I mean, you know, the topic of the room is not what would constitute a win for China. Well, it could be, but I mean, it's implied that we're talking about for the United States. But you bring up an excellent point. What would constitute a win for China? And that would be getting that oil flowing once again. And I think they're in a position probably right now when this is a critical question for them. So, you know, we've discussed before the threshold of pain that Americans will endure is very low as compared to other nations. And we're crying about the cost of oil and the effect on the economy. And I think rightly so. People have reason to be concerned about that.
Yes.
But
so China has
I'm not finished. But I'm not finished. But that being said, the pressure on China right now is immense. 90% of their oil cut off. So, you know, we should probably expand our view of this, and it's a little late to do that now, on this stage, but I'm just saying that we should collectively expand our view of this and try to look at it from the Chinese perspective. What do they need to get out of this? And, you know, so it may not be the article that I read at the top suggests so much the president of the United States with his hat in hand. In some respect, China has his hat in hand as well. And so let's see, you know, this president claims he understands the art of the deal. So we will see. Thank you, Nancy.
Can I chime in?
You know why?
That's okay.
Okay, hold on, guys. I would really like the opportunity to moderate the room and determine who speaks when. And I'm sorry if that sounds autocratic, but that's the way I run the room to avoid the kind of crosstalk that we nearly devolved into just now. We don't want that in this room. Why? I will tell you, because it confuses me. And I presume if it confuses me, it confuses other people. And it's impolite. And we try to run a polite room. So had you been patient just for a couple seconds, you would have already been speaking. Sip, you're up.
Thank you so much, and I appreciate it, Gary. Great room, by the way. But I want to push back a little bit on the things that I heard that Hanson was saying just earlier. I don't believe that this, the fact that Iran has blocked the Strait of Hormuz and that America is blockading a blockade is really affecting China to the way you guys are saying. You have to understand that China also in recent years have diversified who they purchase oil from. They purchased, especially since the war has started, they've been purchasing.
1 second. They hold on a second. If they get 90 oil from Iran and they're trying to diversify, it still means they're heavily dependent upon Iran.
Yes, but since the war has started, they've been heavily from the Russians, and they've also been buying oil from the Brazilians. So they also have 6 months oil reserves. They're able to take the hit. Unlike the Americans, let me tell you why. Americans are in extreme pressure to get the Hormuz open because their allies, India, Japan, and the South Koreans, heavily depend on this oil flowing through their food way more than China.
The brethren shall be diligent in preaching the law of the Lima. In all writings they shall be careful to use the...
Yes, but when specifically with the oil...
Action or sit tight!
Open, and I guarantee you, President his allies to open the Strait of Hormuz. So I believe that the Iranians understand
going to Asia, going to India, and other parts of the world. They also want to charge money for this internet being in the server. So it's even getting worse. Forget about the oil, now they're talking about the internet. So it's very important.
Mine is the head of the
I
hawk.
don't think he's coming with the leverage to
Abracadabra.
I think it's actually
And
the
ends.
opposite. I think that Trump is in enormous pressure and he's gonna capitulate and probably say, hey, you know what, the Chinese, we're losing this, and we'll give you an amazing trading deal, with Apple and all these other companies that you could build factories in America, and it'll make these Chinese billionaires more rich. I think that's the avenue Donald Trump is going to go for. So therefore, then the Chinese can go to the Iranians and be like, hey, we have $1 billion or $1 billion, trading deal with Trump now. He doesn't want to put any tariffs on us. He wants us to open factories in America. He has the Apple CEO meeting with us in China and all these.
I don't know if it can be made public. Just
coming to China. I think that's the angle Donald Trump is going to go at, and that's the way he can capitulate to the Chinese to basically put pressure on the Iranians.
I've been at this all day. Nobody's going to pull it out.
I've been practicing my entire life for this moment. Hold my baby oil.
So, we're closing things off on the stage, unfortunately. So what the caller said about the internet is very important, and it's again an aspect of this that I've not seen discussed much. This right now in the conversation infrastructure through the Strait of Hormuz. They feel that it's a new strategic pressure point beyond oil shipping. However, I kind of looked at it from a council analysis, which is more in line with what necessary, less in line with the citizens. More directly from a closure.
Stephen, you're late.
Because of its high reliance on oil imports from the Gulf. While the United States is less impacted, potentially even gaining financially from higher energy prices as an oil exporter, doesn't help you or me at the pump, of course. The global nature of the supply chain means both nations face severe long-term consequences. But according to the Atlantic Council, from a close Strait of Hormuz, United spokes Monday through Friday at 5 o'clock noon time. So till 5 o'clock time tomorrow, next edition of the
So essentially, somebody is called that he left me physically. As a result, he's then charged with battery of hitting the person who called him the N-word. When he's being defended in a courtroom, the lawyer cannot explain to the jury. If the lawyer says to the jury, well, he was called the N-word, caused him such anger that he lashed out. It's a lot more impactful when you're doing a closing statement or opening statement, or you're presenting in front of a jury, to be able to have the word said, so the jury has the horror of the word and would understand why this man would then have the visceral reaction that he has. But if the lawyer says it in court, he then gets destroyed for using the word, even though he's doing it to then help the defense of his client. Does it make sense now what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's the barrier of using it in any way. And the law school professor that used it by reading a case. I mean, it's in case law. It's in literature, by the way. I mean, if you want to read Huck Finn or you want to read certain literature, but to use it by quoting something that happen in a case or quote literature.
I mean, this is John. I got a question for you.
God, can I just finish?
Yeah.
For a sec, John. Let me just finish this with Alan for a minute because we talked about this before.
I have a question for you right after.
The quoter who's using the term, and sometimes to the benefit of those that had the horror of hearing the word, now goes and gets censored and sanctioned. And in the case of the law professor, I think that students petitioned to get him fired. So anyway, now I'm done.
Alan, can I ask Abby a question? Because my question is, when Pepe comes in this room and he says G word, the J words, and he says horrific things about the J words, why do you tolerate him or his presence? And why does El Normo tolerate him or his presence? What is it about him that is so affable to you that you just think do you just tolerate him because this is a conference call app that anyone on the planet can come in and say horrific, vulgar, profane things? Is that pretty much what's happening here? Thanks.
Othello, you wanted to ask me something?
Yes. So this Chester Builder guy, he's not only in trouble with the black community for using this word, but now he's in trouble with the police and this restaurant, which he's brought bad publicity to. So they could actually sue him for that. How would, after what he did today, and after you've seen how he moves, how would you go against disrupting this guy?
Let me look at it. I just came in the room, so let me look at. Is that what the video is up there? I'm sorry to play dumb on this, but let me look at it and I'll give you an answer. I mean, if he did something to disparage the business, is what you're saying, or to disrupt or intentionally interfere with their business relationships, then they could go after him and for that, most likely. I mean, I'd have to look at what he's doing, but if he's going after a business intentionally and painting them in a false light and disparaging them, then yeah, it's commercial slander. They could go after him, or is saying it, or if he's writing it, then it's libel. So that would be my gut, but I'd have to look at it. I mean, did you follow my point on never being able to use the N-word even when it's to defend the person that it was said to?
Yeah. What about the music? What about saying it in a repetitive?
I mean, I don't buy the music, so I'm not the one to ask that question. I listen to Springsteen, and I don't think he's ever used it in his lyrics.
Oh shit! So, he's using it in his new song.
Well, when we say the N-word, let's be specific which N-word we're talking about.
I'm sorry, I really don't.
The N-word that we're talking about is the hard R, soft H, also Negro. Is it okay to say Negro? Can you say Negro? Hello?
Hopefully I answered your question, and I'll go.
Well, there was a guy that was recently. Well, he wasn't recently. There was a guy that worked at Netflix, and he was fired for using the word. What they were doing was they was giving us sensitivity training and stuff like that, and he was telling them he was listing all the words you cannot use. He was talking to the employees. He said, "These are the words you cannot use, and these are the words that are offensive."
It's the grammar police.
Right? He said the N-word. They fired him. Someone went and complained, and they fired him for using a word that he was telling them, y'all can't use. Do not use this word.
It is a sacred word reserved only for N-words. I was in a room. They were talking about how they have to protect the word. That we should only use the word in limited amounts because it's so sacred. The N-word. Hello?
We also have some new speakers, and I'd like to open up to Viking and Big Mom if they want to get into. Go ahead, Coco.
Thank you. I would like to get.
And then Coco. Okay. Coco, then Ellen, then Viking, Big Mog. Go ahead.
Thank you.
and me.
Yeah, I was just wondering what you find more offensive. Shalom Hendry raising it was $800,000 for using the N-word on a child, or Carmelo raising $500,000 for stepping and killing another boy. Which do you think is more offensive? Using the word or killing somebody?
Okay, yeah. I don't condone murder. So that's if it's
You have to publicly state you don't condone everyone knows you don't condone murder. Isn't that just a given? Isn't that an obvious statement? Why would you even have to say that? Why would you have to preface any statement saying, I don't condone murder, and I don't condone murder. I'm sorry for interrupting. I just thought I had to say something.
you want to act like people don't actually go out and murder people in our fucking country. You want to act like we don't have gangs in our country. It's literally every fucking color in this country has my murderers, whether that be fucking biker gangs, whether that be street gangs, whether that be other militia types we have. There's people in every race of our society that what do I think is worse, murder or this other scenario with words and somebody been given money for using racial slurs. Please just don't police my speech. I don't know what's wrong with you, John. Honestly, every time I
tariff is and how it works with Superman macro econ. You should take one in political in politics, and then you'll know that yes, one mode of persuasion is through the emotions. Aristotle called it pathos. Yes, welcome to high school student government. Hey y'all, I want to be the student government president, and if I'm the president, we're gonna get rid of 7th period. Yeah, and everybody votes for him. You still have 7th period. Yeah, welcome to it. It's pretty basic stuff, bro.
May I go now, or are you done? I don't know if you're done.
I'm sorry, I muted up. I'm done.
I'm oriented now. I'm back in my vehicle now, so I can answer you more succinctly. So I agree with you. Both sides use emotion. Okay, everybody on the political spectrum uses emotion to animate their base so that they can, generate political power and all that stuff. So I'm not saying Democrats are the only ones that do it, but Mr. Wesley, whatever his name is, Wesley Hunt, is responding in kind. So yeah, you're right. Roly-Poly's audience despise Wesley Hunt, but it makes the rounds. That clip is going to get clipped up. It's going to get put on somebody's feed. We're talking about it in here. There's a lot of roly-poly followers in this room within the sound of our voice, in the audience or elsewhere, who is going to hear that term, that statement. And I understand most people are going to throw it out of hand. There's going to be that one person who hears it, who's in roly-poly side, and maybe just about sick of the whining and crying and complaining from people like Rolly. He's still on his side, but he's kind of teetering back and forth. And this 50th time he heard somebody like Wesley Hunt say it, it clicked. And now he turned his back on roly-polies of the world, and now he becomes a new baby conservative. So what I'm saying is, it doesn't work on the masses. You're right, it ain't gonna work on the masses of roly-polies audience. But there's people in the middle that follow roly-poly that when they hear Wesley Hunt's read it for this 50th time or the 60th time, they heard what's his name? They heard the guy Larry Elder a million times, and they always
you're repeating yourself. Come on, bro.
I want to land.
Speak.
Okay, I just want to land with the emphasis. When you hear it multiple times on that multiple,
it's not working here. Do you have a new point? Come on, man. This is kind of frustrating.
I'm answering your question. That's the audience. That's the
audience. All right, cool. You said that 7 times. Anybody else want to got that?
Yeah. I'd like to speak to the West Hunt situation. Also weave in a little bit about what RJ said about history, which was wild to me. Like, what's the worst kind of Negro? Him saying that slavery and Jim Crow back is exactly why RJ brought up about Black history. It needs to be taught, honestly, to white Americans. Because people hear Jim Crow and they think it only means separate water fountains and somebody yelling, the N-word. They think racism only counts if it looks like a old black and white ass picture, but history evolves. Language evolves, systems evolve, right? So nobody is saying that we're literally back in 1950. You already covered this, man, but the point is that we're watching all these voting protections get gutted, affirmative action dismantled. We know the drill. Black political power diluted. I mean, just in Tennessee, they cracked the only majority black district through redistricting, then removed every black Democratic member from committee assignments. So, that's the problem. People who don't know history, they think oppression has to come back wearing the exact same outfit to be recognized. And if we had more actual history, white Americans might not be getting duped so easily by MAGA. You know what I'm saying? If they had been taught real black history instead of patriotic mythology. Because once you understand it, you start recognizing the same strategies they're using against you. And then you go on and you scapegoat minorities and this manufactured fear. They feel like America is unstable because of black people, because of immigrants, DEI, the new term wokeness. The playbook is old as hell. And part of the reason why it works, and part of the reason I got to work with so many mediocre white people, is because they have this false sense of identity. They're raised with this, that they're natural achievers, like America was always a meritocracy, and whatever success their families had came from hard work, which is bullshit. But when you actually learn history, you realize the playing field was never level to begin with all of the things that come with our history. And I'm not saying white people don't work hard. I ain't saying that, but ignorance hurts them. It hurts us, but it really hurts the hell out of them, because if your identity is built around believing that your position is entirely earned and you're morally superior, and that any attempt to level the playing field, that feels like oppression to you. All of a sudden, they're the oppressed ones. That's why they lose their minds over all of the programs and, what, even if you say systemic racism, they lose their damn minds. So Black history just isn't about teaching us. It's about teaching everybody. And if they understood how division gets weaponized and how ordinary people get manipulated every day, we might not be in the state that we're in right now.
So, are you done, Madison? Oh, good. Okay. So, sure. Let's wake something up. When Wesley Hunt said that he doesn't mind if there aren't any black federal lawmakers, what he was saying was that he doesn't mind if we go back to 1901. I just decided to do some digging, and I found that by 1901 there weren't any black U.S. representatives in Congress. That remained the case until 1929. I also see here that no black U.S. senators were elected again until 1967. What we do know is that between 1870 and 1901, 22 African Americans held seats in Congress. So Wesley Hunt is saying that he doesn't mind if we go back to a time when there were no black congresspersons, and that time was 1901. I don't need to tell people what life was like for black people all across the nation in 1901. But that's what he's saying. He doesn't mind if we go back to Jim Crow. So.
What were the political affiliations of the 22 that were in office for 1870?
I'm sorry, what's your question, Monica?
The political affiliations of those representatives.
You mean the parties?
Oh my God.
I don't know. I think most of them were probably Republican, if not all. What's the point? They got ran out of the party. It's called the Lily White Movement. You want to go into why the blacks got ran out of the Republican Party, or you just want to stop the affiliation? Well, Mike, on you.
I'm guessing it was fear of their excellence, but that's just a hypothetical.
No, it's called the Lily White Movement. They didn't want niggers in the party anymore. You should look it up. The Republican League.
I thought we weren't going to allow the blacks to play on the stage. You had a problem with it.
Hello? I'm quoting them. This is a quote. We're doing primary source material. This is the Republican Party of 1901 you're talking about. So I'm doing the original. And you know, Monica, I'm gonna say something to you real quick, if people indulge me. I called your name before twice because you hadn't said anything, and I moved you down because when people are on the stage for a long time, they sometimes unmute by accident, and you hear stuff, whatever, and it's like, it's crazy. I moved you down trying to be nice so that you wouldn't unmute like you've done 2 times before, and we've heard your business in the background. You then got moved down and decided to call me a pansy and do a little mini crash out in the chat. I was actually trying to be nice to you, but that's what you did.
You were being me. I called the person. He said, "Move her down."
That's why he said it. That's why he said it. Because I was calling your name.
He was looking. Because I wasn't responding because I wasn't near my phone.
Exactly. I moved you down.
He didn't want me sitting on the stage without contributing.
You said no thanks.
And then I left.
Or whatever you said, because you left because you thought I was moving you down. That's exactly what happened. I'll tell you from now on, when you come off mute, we'll just keep you off mute. You've done it 2 times now. I was literally trying to be nice to you. We heard you listen. We heard you watching your silly television show, acting like somebody was tickling your hairy underarms.
Big Bang Theory. Why are you so nasty?
No, it was.
Were you looking
you have hairy underarms.
It was Big Bang Theory.
It was not Big Bang Theory.
It was Big Bang Theory.
It was not the one I'm talking about. They had a British accent. It wasn't Big Bang Theory.
It was.
Anyway,
Talking about his story about being.
Let's move on.
Oh, now you don't want accuracy. You just want to.
It doesn't matter what the TV show was, man. I was trying to be nice to you.
Well, do better, because you.
Shut the fuck up. Yell at me one more time, you dumb bitch. I'll block you for life. Get your bitch ass up.
That was functional. That was fruitful.
No, let's go fuck.
Yes, at the very least, it's funny. I think it's funny.
Why is it? Oh, okay.
Monica, do you have an OnlyFans where you cosplay as a baby?
Chipolito!
Do you have an OnlyFans where you cosplay as a man?
Wow, that was such a great comeback. Oh, jeez.
I get a little bit there.
Okay, you're moving up on my weird list. Just so you know,
You
just
can tell
moving up another rank.
grew up
So
not
your
knowing how
list
to
right now goes from least weird to most weird. And right now, coming in first, I believe is Dennis for least weird.
Don't try.
I think followed by
Well, who is Arthur?
Marshall. Followed by, it's really tough right here to
Not
make
as
the call.
negative last
I think
year.
I'm gonna go with Aisha, which is really tough of me to
Probably the
figure
most
out yet of the score.
voice.
Is that supposed to be a snap
I think I have to go with Brutus, which is almost impossible to do. Double score. So, and then it's Snap Otter. And then Dave, I think you got the top spot, buddy.
Leave it alone.
I think you did
Don't
it.
come for me.
Did you extend
And
it?
then I won't have to embarrass myself like I
It was
did
between me and Rivas. I knew it. Rivas asked Aisha has
RJ
gone for
doctrine.
Virginia.
RJ was explained what the RJ doctrine is.
No one came for you. It's simply a statement of you don't know how to snap. That's not coming for you.
No, Ben,
What
what
the
is
RJ doctrine
the RJ
explained.
doctrine? Man, what is the RJ doctrine if you're home?
He's not going to contribute. I can fill in the spot if no one else.
No, we don't need to bastardize the RJ doctrine. The RJ doctrine no longer applies.
What does the RJ stand for?
It stands for Royal Juggernaut. There we go.
RJ, and I'm gonna keep going because you don't have a value, please. And I got into so much trouble hosting you this morning. Don't come to this.
right to self-defense because you don't have a right to.
Waive the right to self.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Yeah, because self-defense is self-defense is when you're defending yourself when you're not in a mutual situation. That's self-defense. He's mutually engaging with these people, so he doesn't have self-defense.
No, it's
That's
not.
you stand your ground.
Because self-defense only is only with regard to the physical offense, not verbal, whatever you call it, offense or not.
Yeah.
Not
he's trying to
respect to verbal altercation.
No, right, but he's trying to provoke these people into doing so. You don't walk up and on somebody. It does matter. It does. Yes, you cannot provoke a situation and call self-defense. That's not how it works.
Guys, you can't use physical defense to fighting words. Fighting words are actionable in terms of what you can't go after. They're not protected. They're not protected speech, so you can go after the person who used the fighting words, but you can't use physical to the fighting words. Go ahead, people do it, and you'll be charged. Show me where you live that that's acceptable.
It's not acceptable. Yeah, there's consequences for it. Yeah,
you're going to be charged with it.
Smack that dirty white mouth and get it right. Yeah.
Mind your mouth when you talk to a woman, asshole.
I'm letting you know. You're talking to a black man.
I don't care if you're orange or green.
Your mouth.
You're an asshole. I don't want to get but I want to be focused. But that's not how the law works. And I don't know if I'm Bima, I'm answering Hanson that Hanson is correct. Hanson is correct. That's how the law works. You can go after the person for unprotected speech and for fighting words, but you can't use physical contact. It won't mitigate, and it's not. You're going to be charged with
respectful smack.
Well, you should be smacked.
Saying the N-word is fighting words. I don't know what.
Yeah, that can get you.
Not.
Yeah, that's
Do you know what a word is?
Yeah, but hey, like back in the day, when they couldn't control themselves.
Professional.
And we still don't know why they couldn't control themselves. Okay, like that way the terminology that's derogatory, and it cites all type of discriminatory emotions in somebody else, knowing that you're trying to just reincorporate some nasty shit that you should have evolved from because it's disgusting.
So
you get beat up for it.
I want to open this up. Hold on.
Look, if you get your white pasty
Bima, why don't you pull up the definition of fighting words and you can
No, it is, yeah.
You can't justify with words. You can, but you're going to be arrested. You'll be arrested for assault.
Yeah, I'll smack my
Okay, Free Range wants to make a comment. If we can just,
smack the fuck out of your ass.
we can circle back around. Free Range and then the SM.
Who's going to hurt anybody? Did anyone just do that?
Yes,
No threats, no doxing.
about free speech.
No threats, no doxing. Okay, Free Range, go ahead.
So I think we all agree that he's been a aggressive and provocative in the situation. I'm not saying that words just inherently means that you can subject yourself to violence, but I asked a question: if you provoke someone into fighting, can you claim self-defense, right? And that's what he's doing, because of course there's other clips of him saying hit me and shit like that, so he can pretty much use mace or taser or gun or whatever he has. So it says generally no, you cannot claim self-defense if you provoke a fight. If you're the initial aggressor, which he is, or intentionally bait someone into attacking you, you lose the right to claim self-defense, as you cannot create a dangerous situation and then use force to defend yourself. So that's what I'm saying. He's doing this with the intent to create a hostile situation, just so he uses the force.
But the words can't do it free. The words, there's no justification for physical.
Yeah, anytime a white person is antagonizing you, I agree, but that's a separate issue.
Yeah, but that's you're absolutely right. If someone physically goes after you, then you physically respond. But physical to physical is different than words to physical.
I agree with you, Abby. I agree with everything you're saying, except for if it's a white white racist motherfucker trying that shit, smack their ass, bro. That's the exception. Beat their ass up. Yeah, because you would not tolerate that. Beat their ass up. Beat their ass the fuck up.
Really?
Yeah, straight up. They shoot each other in the neck for less. Okay? They shoot each other in the neck for less.
Would you do that? Would you do that?
I wouldn't do that. I don't shoot white people in the neck
Would
for
you
freedom
hit
of
someone?
speech.
Would you hit someone if they said it to you?
If a white person doesn't know how to behave and they want some nigga treatment, they can get nigga treatment because white people
What would you do to
and
them?
they don't think they are. And sometimes you have to remind them that they can be a dirty white
And
nigga.
how would you
and they can get
remind
that dirty white
them?
nigga treatment. You understand what I'm saying?
How would
Like
you remind
anybody
them?
else can get nigga treatment.
How would you do this? What would your method be of reminding them?
I would take the white people method in Utah. I don't know. Maybe I might consider that one. I don't know. I might just go to
What
the
do you
extreme.
mean? What would you do?
Yeah, what do y'all do? What do y'all do to people who like freedom of speech that are white and named Charlie Kirk? What do y'all do?
What would I?
Yeah. What do y'all do?
Big Mom.
Yeah, what do y'all do? What do y'all do?
You want to take this on here?
What do y'all do?
Adrian has a question, but I just want to pause there because Big Mom brings up a really good point, okay? Because let's think about Charlie Kirk, okay? There was a reason. Sorry, Adrian, just real quick. Thank you so much. There was a reason that Kirk got the response that he did from the public when
The white people he was protecting and defending, and they shot him in the neck. A white man did that. And I can believe you red hat wanderers found your way into a HBCU.
I don't care what color the guy was. The guy was someone who disagreed with
your people are watching
care
Karen
what color.
They killed our brother in Christ.
Do you think it's okay to
they
use
killed our brother.
physical?
They killed my brother in Christ.
Do you think it's okay? Do you think it's okay to use physical harm when you don't like what someone says? Do you think that that's okay?
No.
Are you justifying that?
No, I don't.
Okay, good. Thank you.
There is an exception.
What's the exception?
Big Mom, you don't think that Charlie Kirk deserved to be killed, right? Come on, Big Mom, you don't think Charlie Kirk deserved to be killed, right? Let me explain my exception. I agree 100% with what Abby says. You do not, if somebody is antagonizing you with their words, you do not respond in violence.